Awaken, God's chosen ones, and prepare your hearts for a revelation of divine justice. They underestimated you, didn't they? They mocked, schemed, and poured their arrogance over your trials like gasoline on a small spark, believing no one was watching. But here's the truth they failed to see. Every act of cruelty is a seed, and seeds always grow. What they've sown in their malice has grown into a wildfire, not one that consumes you, but one that turns against them. God's wrath, though patient, is inevitable. When it comes, it's like a freight train with no brakes, unstoppable, precise, and devastating. These individuals who took pride in tearing you down thought they were in control. They laughed at your suffering, oblivious to the fact that they were stacking kindling for their own undoing. They believed the fire they lit was meant to destroy you, but now they stand helpless as the flames rise higher, licking at their own feet. Do you feel the gravity of this moment? Their arrogance led them to challenge not just you, but the divine purpose you carry. And now they face the consequences of awakening the wrath of a God who defends his chosen fiercely. If you've ever witnessed or felt the power of God's justice turning the tables in your favor, comment 777 below. Thank you to everyone who has supported this channel through Super Thanks. Your generosity inspires us to continue sharing these messages of truth and hope. Now, take a deep breath and lean in. What happens when the architects of your pain find themselves trapped in the very destruction they designed for you? What does it mean to carry a divine purpose so powerful that even your enemies tremble at the aftermath of their own actions? This is not just a tale of suffering, but of poetic, sharp, and divine retribution. A reminder that God's plans never fail, and his justice is unmatched. Stay with me as we uncover this powerful truth. God's chosen ones, they tortured you and angered God. They lit a fire they can't control. Number 1, the divine paradox. Those who tormented the chosen ones didn't stumble upon them by mere coincidence. Their actions were not random. Rather, they were irresistibly drawn to these individuals as if compelled by an unseen force. Like moths to a flame, they couldn't help but approach, not out of admiration, but because something within the chosen ones unsettled them deeply. The chosen didn't shout their power from the rooftops, nor did they seek attention. Instead, their quiet strength and unwavering presence reflected a divine purpose, one so radiant that it exposed hidden insecurities and unresolved darkness in their tormentors. What drives a person to attack something so pure? It wasn't weakness in the chosen that provoked this hostility, it was recognition. The tormentors weren't blind to the light they saw in them, a light that spoke of divine favor, spiritual strength, and an unshakable connection to a higher purpose. This light didn't just illuminate, it disrupted. It exposed their tormentors' inadequacies and ignited a rage they couldn't explain. Have you ever wondered why some people lash out at those who carry peace? Why does the world so often despise what it doesn't understand? Here lies the ultimate irony. In their fury, the tormentors weren't just lashing out against people. They were challenging God himself. They saw divine strength in the chosen ones and mistook it for weakness. Their envy turned into cruelty, and they believed they could extinguish the very essence that made the chosen sacred. Yet they didn't realize they were attacking something beyond human comprehension. As Psalm 105:15 reminds us, God says, "Do not touch my anointed ones, do my prophets no harm." By tormenting the chosen, they were provoking not just individuals, but the Creator who had ordained them. In their arrogance, they thought power came from domination, control, and the ability to crush others. They failed to grasp the truth. Real power is quiet, steady, and unwavering. It does not need to shout or prove itself. The chosen ones didn't need to retaliate because their strength came from a divine source. Have you ever noticed how true strength lies in stillness, while chaos flails in desperation? By attacking the chosen, the tormentors sealed their own fate. Their actions were not just acts of aggression, they were signing a spiritual contract of self-destruction. Their envy and arrogance became the very fuel for a fire they couldn't control. It's written in Proverbs 16:18, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall." Their arrogance blinded them to the reality of their situation. They weren't simply attacking mortals, they were declaring war on the divine. No one harms what belongs to God without consequence. The tormentors overestimated their power and underestimated the unseen forces protecting the chosen. They believed they could break what God had fortified. But in challenging the will of God, they found themselves in a battle they could never win. What happens when human arrogance collides with divine justice? The answer is always the same. There are no victors, only lessons learned the hard way. Those who sought to harm the chosen became the architects of their own downfall, proving that the greatest battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the spiritual forces that guide our destinies. Number 2, God's fury isn't instant. It's precise. God's fury is not impulsive or hasty, it is exact and calculated. When the chosen ones suffer, there's no immediate eruption of divine retribution, no instant thunderbolt to halt the injustice. And this confounds the tormentors. In their arrogance, they mistake divine patience for indifference. They assume that the silence means God is absent or, worse, unconcerned. But what they fail to realize is that God's silence is not weakness, it's deliberation. His justice is never hurried because it isn't bound by time. It is perfectly timed. Consider Psalm 37:7-8, which says, "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes." This verse reminds us that God's delays are never denials. His plans are not about speed, but precision. The tormentors live under a false sense of control, reveling in their perceived victories and laughing at what they think is their cleverness. But have they not noticed that their victories come with strings attached? What they see as triumphs are merely the scaffolding of their own downfall. God's patience isn't about leniency. It's about giving the tormentors enough time to fully reveal their intentions and actions. Every cruel word, every malicious act, every scheme against the chosen is like another log on the fire of their own judgment. Do they not realize that they are writing the case against themselves? As Proverbs 6:16-19 warns, God hates a heart that devises wicked schemes and feet that are quick to rush into evil. Every move they make further solidifies the evidence against them. When God moves, his justice is not reactionary, it's definitive. It doesn't just punish, it dismantles. The tormentors' illusions of power and pride are stripped away until nothing remains. The reckoning is so complete, so undeniable, that even they are forced to recognize its divine origin. This isn't a chaotic lashing out. It's justice so precise, so perfectly aligned with their actions, that it silences any arguments or excuses. Can you imagine the shock of realizing that every step you took toward victory was actually leading you into a divine trap? For the chosen ones, this delay can feel like agony. Waiting for justice while enduring pain and betrayal often tests their faith. Yet this is where God's wisdom shines the brightest. In Isaiah 40:31, we are reminded, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." God's timing ensures that the chosen ones emerge not only vindicated, but strengthened, while the tormentors are left standing in the fire they themselves lit. By the time God's justice arrives, it's not just retribution, it's a complete reversal. The fire that was meant to consume the chosen turns back on the tormentors, leaving no room for escape. Have you ever wondered why divine justice feels so absolute, so final? That's because it's not just about balancing the scales, it's about rewriting the narrative entirely. When God moves, he doesn't simply even the score. He establishes a new order, one where his power and authority are undeniable. And for the tormentors, there's no escape, only the realization that their downfall was always inevitable. Number 3, the unquenchable fire, self-destruction disguised as power. When they ignited the fire, they believed it was meant solely for you. They reveled in the idea of watching you falter, of seeing you crumble under the weight of their schemes. In their arrogance, they convinced themselves that they held the power to erase your purpose, your light. But what they failed to understand was that this fire wasn't simply a tool of destruction, it was a mirror. It reflected their own hatred, envy, and arrogance, growing larger with every cruel act they committed. The more they fed it, the more it consumed, waiting for the perfect moment to turn back on its creators. This fire was never loyal to them. It wasn't a weapon they could control. It was chaos unleashed, indifferent to who lit the match. Have they never read the warning in Proverbs 26:27? Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them. Their cruelty was a trap of their own making, and yet they remained blind to the danger, consumed by their desperation to harm the chosen. Cruelty, by its nature, is self-destructive. It masquerades as power, but is, in reality, a declaration of weakness. It takes no strength to strike out against someone who carries divine light. It takes desperation. True power lies in restraint, in choosing to uplift rather than tear down. But desperation blinds, and in their obsession with destroying you, they failed to see the flames creeping closer to their own feet. Have you ever noticed how those who seek to harm others often reveal their own brokenness in the process? Their actions were never truly about you. The fire they started was born of their own chaos, their inability to confront the light you carried. The envy that consumed them wasn't about anything you did. It was about what you represented. You were a reminder of what they lacked: purpose, favor, and a connection to something greater than themselves. Instead of seeking their own light, they chose to extinguish yours, thinking it would bring them peace. But they underestimated the nature of fire. Fires do not discriminate. They consume indiscriminately, burning everything in their path, including the ones who first struck the match. They believed they were in control, but in reality, they were prisoners of their own destructive choices. As James 3:6 warns, the tongue also is a fire, a world of evil among the parts of the body. It corrupts the whole body, sets the whole course of one's life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell. Their words and actions, born from envy and malice, became the kindling for a blaze they could not contain. They thought the flames were for you to endure, but now they find themselves surrounded, their own lives engulfed by the destruction they unleashed. This isn't mere poetic justice, it's a spiritual law. You cannot build destruction and walk away unscathed. What they set into motion became a force beyond their control, a natural consequence of their own actions. The fire they lit, which they intended to consume you, has turned back on them. The flames they fanned in their arrogance now burn at their feet, and there's no water strong enough to extinguish them. Have you ever wondered why those who harm others often find themselves caught in their own traps? It's because the universe operates on a divine balance. In Galatians 6:7, it's written, "Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. By attempting to destroy the chosen, they sowed seeds of their own undoing. The fire they unleashed was never meant to last. It was destined to consume its creators. Now they must face the flames they once celebrated, knowing they cannot escape what they've unleashed. Number 4. They underestimated the resilience of the chosen. The tormentors believed they had won. They watched your suffering with satisfaction, mistaking your pain for defeat, your silence for surrender. But what they failed to understand is that the chosen ones are no ordinary victims. Pain doesn't destroy them, it transforms them. Like gold refined in fire, the chosen emerge from suffering stronger, sharper, and more unstoppable than before. Every blow meant to break them becomes a force that builds them. Every insult a lesson, and every betrayal a step closer to their divine purpose. Have you ever wondered how some people rise from unimaginable trials with more strength than they had before? The tormentors expected submission, perhaps despair. They envisioned silence as proof of their dominance. Yet what they encountered was a resilience so profound it defied reason. The chosen ones didn't just endure the wounds inflicted upon them. They carried those wounds as sacred marks of survival, as evidence of a deeper connection to their Creator. As Romans 8:28 reminds us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." The chosen saw their pain not as an ending, but as part of a divine transformation. Each scar became a symbol of grace, each tear a seed for a future harvest of joy and justice. Herein lies the paradox the tormentors could never have anticipated. Every act of cruelty meant to silence the chosen only made them louder, bolder, more unyielding. They sought to extinguish the light, but their efforts only amplified it. This is the divine mystery of resilience. The harder the enemy strikes, the brighter the chosen ones shine. Can darkness ever truly overcome a light that was divinely designed to endure? Pain didn't silence the chosen. It became their rallying cry. Every tear they shed watered the ground for something greater, a reckoning, a transformation, and a testament to the unshakable power of faith. As Isaiah 61:3 beautifully declares, God grants His chosen a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. Their resilience isn't superficial, it's deeply rooted in their faith and purpose. It's the kind of strength that transforms suffering into a story of redemption, inspiring everyone who witnesses their journey. The tormentors underestimated not only the chosen ones' capacity to endure, but their ability to rise. To the chosen, suffering isn't a tomb, it's a tunnel. It's not a death sentence, it's a passage to something greater. Just as coal becomes a diamond under immense pressure, the chosen emerge from their trials radiant and unbreakable. What the tormentors intended as a final blow became a spark for a movement, a call to action, and a symbol of hope for those who also walk through the fire. Their resilience is more than personal triumph. It's a living testament to God's power. As John 1:5 declares, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." The chosen ones embody this truth. No amount of cruelty, no depth of darkness can ever extinguish a light that was meant to shine. Instead, the tormentors' efforts only serve to magnify that light, turning their schemes into the very evidence of divine favor. What the tormentors could not see is that the chosen were never meant to be broken. They were meant to rise, and their rising is not just for their own sake. It's for everyone watching, everyone who has ever doubted that victory is possible in the midst of pain. Their story is a divine proclamation. No amount of darkness can overpower a light ordained by God. Number 5. The weight of heaven's silence. When the chosen cry out in the depths of their suffering and hear nothing in return, the silence feels heavy, almost like abandonment. They search desperately for signs, for even the smallest reassurance that heaven hasn't turned away. But what they fail to see in those moments is that the silence isn't absence, it's a strategy. This stillness, though agonizing, is the deliberate pause of divine deliberation, the quiet before the storm of justice. God watches closely, allowing free will to fully unfold. The tormentors are given their moment, not as a reward, but as a test, a stage to reveal their true nature. Why would a loving God allow this? Because every action taken during this silence becomes part of a cosmic reckoning. Every cruel decision, every opportunity to choose kindness that's ignored, every embrace of darkness over light. All of it is recorded as undeniable evidence. Heaven's silence isn't indifference. It's the deliberate space where accountability matures. As Ecclesiastes 8:11 reminds us, when the sentence for a crime is not quickly carried out, people's hearts are filled with schemes to do wrong. This delay isn't about neglect. It's about ensuring justice is complete and irrefutable. For the chosen, the silence feels unbearable, stretching their faith and resolve to the breaking point. It's in this void that their deepest fears rise, and the absence of immediate answers tests their belief like never before. But within this silence, something miraculous happens. They grow. Their connection to the divine deepens, and their inner strength is revealed. The silence becomes a crucible, a refining fire that shapes them for the battles and blessings ahead. Have you ever noticed how the hardest moments often lead to the most profound transformations? This is not coincidence, it's preparation. The tormentors, meanwhile, mistake this silence for triumph. They laugh in their arrogance, believing they've escaped judgment, blind to the fact that the silence is their stage to fail or redeem themselves. But as Galatians 6:7 warns, do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. The longer the silence persists, the more damning the evidence becomes. Every act of cruelty piles higher, ensuring that when judgment comes, it will be as undeniable as it is devastating. And then, when the silence has fulfilled its purpose, the storm begins. The same God who seemed distant, the same heaven that appeared unresponsive, unleashes justice with a force so precise that it leaves no room for doubt. It is not chaotic or random. It is deliberate, addressing every wrong and ensuring every consequence aligns perfectly with the harm inflicted. The tormentors, who once thrived in the stillness, are left shaken, their power crumbling under the weight of divine retribution. For the chosen, this moment is not merely about vindication, it's about revelation. The silence they endured was never about abandonment, it was preparation. As Isaiah 40:31 promises, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. Every tear, every prayer uttered into what seemed like an unresponsive void was part of a divine process to prepare them for the victory they were destined to claim. When heaven's silence ends, it doesn't whisper, it roars. It shakes the foundations of those who believed they'd escaped justice and lifts up the chosen to heights they never imagined. The silence was never about neglect. It was about refinement. It separated the innocent from the guilty, the faithful from the arrogant. And when it's over, the chosen ones can see clearly they were never abandoned. They were being prepared for a victory so complete that even their tormentors must acknowledge the hand of God. Number 6. Ancestral chains broken by suffering. The chosen ones carry a burden they never sought, a weight forged long before their time. Their battles are not just personal, they are ancestral, bound up in the struggles, traumas, and curses that have haunted their lineage for generations. Every obstacle they face, every pain that seems larger than life, is steeped in the unresolved struggles of those who came before them. These are not ordinary trials. They are the echoes of history demanding resolution. Have you ever felt as though you were fighting battles far greater than your own, as though the weight of your family's past rests heavily on your shoulders? For the chosen ones, this suffering isn't an accident. It's a divine mission. Unlike their ancestors, many of whom were crushed under the weight of these chains, the chosen are equipped with an extraordinary strength and purpose. Their pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. As Psalm 34:19 reminds us, the righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all. Every hardship they endure and overcome sends a ripple through their bloodline, breaking patterns of oppression and rewriting a story that once seemed unchangeable. Each struggle, though deeply painful, is a blow against the chains binding their lineage. Every time they rise after being struck down, they shatter a link in the chain of generational trauma. Can you imagine the power of knowing that your endurance today can rewrite the future for those who come after you? By confronting the darkness of their lineage, the chosen ones disrupt patterns of pain, addiction, and despair, creating a path of freedom for future generations who will never have to carry the same burdens. Yet the tormentors, those who seek to harm the chosen, fail to understand the magnitude of their actions. They see their cruelty as a way to break the chosen, not realizing that every trial they impose only sharpens the chosen's resolve. What they mean for harm becomes the very fire that forges resilience and strength. In Genesis 50:20, Joseph tells his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." The tormentors, in their ignorance, are unwitting instruments in a divine plan. Every blow they strike pushes the chosen closer to fulfilling their purpose. The chosen one's journey is not just about personal victory, it's about healing the past and securing the future. By breaking these ancestral chains, they don't just free themselves. They transform their entire lineage. Their suffering becomes a bridge, connecting the pain of the past with the promise of a brighter future. They take centuries of struggle and turn it into a legacy of resilience, ensuring that their children and their children's children will walk in freedom and strength. This is the ultimate paradox. Their pain, though immense, becomes a gift. It's a gift to those who will never have to carry the weight of ancestral burdens, because the chosen ones stood firm, endured, and overcame. As Isaiah 61:3 declares, God gives them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. Through their sacrifice, they transform generational suffering into a legacy of hope, faith, and liberation. Their story is a testament to the power of divine purpose. The chosen ones prove that no chain is unbreakable, no curse unshakable, and no burden too great when carried with faith. They turn their pain into power, their suffering into strength, and their endurance into a light that shines not just for themselves, but for all who follow. Their lives remind us that true freedom is not just about breaking chains. It's about building a future where those chains never exist again. Number 7. The fire they lit will forge, not destroy. When the tormentors turned their cruelty toward the chosen ones, their intent was clear: destruction. They believed the flames of pain, betrayal, and oppression would be too fierce, reducing the chosen to nothing more than ash. But what they failed to comprehend is that the chosen are not like others. Fire doesn't destroy them, it transforms them. Like a furnace purifying gold, the flames serve to refine, stripping away impurities like fear, doubt, and weakness, and leaving behind only strength, clarity, and divine purpose. In their arrogance, the tormentors believed they were extinguishing the light of the chosen ones. Yet, with every trial, the opposite occurred. The chosen grew brighter. The tormentors' efforts to crush them only fueled their transformation. Have you ever noticed how challenges often become the catalyst for someone's greatest growth? As Isaiah 48:10 declares, "I have refined you, though not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction." The tormentors unknowingly became tools in a divine process, serving a higher purpose they could neither see nor control. Every act of cruelty intended to break the chosen only pushed them closer to their destiny. Each betrayal taught them resilience, each wound became a lesson, and each hardship drew them deeper into alignment with their divine calling. The tormentors, blinded by their own hatred, failed to see the irony of their actions. They weren't destroyers, they were unwitting participants in a transformation far beyond their understanding. How often do those who seek to harm others end up being the very instruments of their victims' elevation? The tormentors thought they held the power to annihilate the chosen, but all they achieved was the fulfillment of the chosen one's destiny. What they intended as an ending became the very spark that elevated the chosen to a higher plane of strength and purpose. Romans 8:28 reminds us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." The tormentors' hatred and cruelty, rather than achieving destruction, only amplified the chosen's light and purpose. By the time the fire has done its work, the chosen emerge not as victims, but as victors. Their resolve is unbroken, their spirit unshaken, and their light undimmed. They carry the scars of their trials, but these marks are not signs of defeat. They are symbols of refinement, proof that they endured the flames and emerged stronger. Can you imagine the power of knowing that the very forces meant to break you have only made you unbreakable? Meanwhile, the tormentors are left to face the ashes of their arrogance. The flames they thought would destroy the chosen consumed them instead. As Proverbs 26:27 warns, "Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them." The tormentors' own actions became their undoing, their hatred and cruelty turning back on them in a blaze they could neither control nor escape. The chosen's journey through the fire is more than a testament to their resilience. It is a revelation of divine purpose. Their transformation proves that no amount of darkness can extinguish a light destined to shine. The tormentors sought to bring an end, but they became unwitting architects of a beginning, a profound transformation that turns pain into power, betrayal into strength, and suffering into purpose. The fire they lit did not destroy the chosen. It forged them into something unstoppable, leaving their tormentors to grapple with the ashes of their own intentions. Number 8. The cosmic ripple effect. Justice beyond the physical. When the chosen ones are mistreated, the consequences reach far beyond what the tormentors can see or comprehend. They act as though their cruelty is confined to the physical world, believing that their actions begin and end in the here and now. But harming the chosen is not merely an earthly offense. It's a disruption of the spiritual equilibrium, a violation that sends shockwaves through the unseen realms of existence. Every act of malice, every moment of injustice, creates ripples that traverse dimensions, awakening forces far greater than human understanding. The tormentors operate in ignorance, blind to the profound spiritual realities surrounding their actions. They assume the spiritual world is silent, indifferent, or even powerless against their schemes. What they don't realize is that their cruelty has disturbed something vast and eternal, a system of justice intricately woven into the cosmos. This isn't a simplistic notion of karma, but a divine mechanism that governs all creation, ensuring balance is maintained. When that balance is disrupted, it demands correction. Their actions set off a chain reaction they cannot control, inviting consequences that stretch far beyond human lifetimes and into dimensions they'll never comprehend. Have they never considered the possibility that their actions resonate far beyond what their eyes can see? For the chosen ones, the pain they endure feels deeply personal, yet its significance transcends their individual suffering. Their trials mark points of imbalance in the cosmic ledger, disturbances that the universe cannot ignore. As Psalm 89:14 reminds us, righteousness and justice are the foundation of your throne. Love and faithfulness go before you. The scales must be evened, and this divine principle ensures that justice is not an afterthought. It is foundational to all existence. The chosen's suffering becomes a call for divine intervention, one that reverberates across time and space. When the scales are balanced, the response is neither arbitrary nor small, it's monumental. The tormentors who acted with impunity find themselves facing consequences that defy human rules and logic. These aren't merely earthly punishments. They are the workings of spiritual forces beyond their control, forces that operate in realms and timelines they cannot escape. Have you ever considered how a single act of cruelty can ripple outward, affecting not just the present, but future generations and unseen dimensions? The tormentors, by their own hand, invite a reckoning that stretches across the very fabric of creation. For the chosen, this cosmic ripple effect means that justice is not confined to this world. Their suffering triggers a divine correction, one that doesn't simply balance the scales, but transforms the very nature of the offense. As 2 Thessalonians 1:6-7 declares, God is just. He will pay back trouble to those who trouble you and give relief to you who are troubled. This assurance reminds the chosen that their pain is not overlooked. It is the catalyst for something far greater than themselves. When the reckoning comes, it is not a mere restoration of balance. It is a declaration. It's a lesson etched into the very fabric of existence, ensuring that the tormentor's actions are never repeated without consequence. Their cruelty leaves a mark, but so does the divine response, a mark of justice, accountability, and redemption that reverberates across realms. This ripple effect transforms the chosen one's pain into purpose. Their trials become part of a larger narrative of justice and restoration, proof that no act of malice can go unanswered in a universe governed by divine law. The tormentors, who once believed they could act without repercussions, find themselves caught in the vastness of a system they cannot fight or escape. The cosmic balance ensures that justice isn't confined to human terms. It is a force that transcends time, space, and understanding, proving that no harm against the chosen will ever be forgotten. Number 9. The insatiable nature of envy. At the root of the torment endured by the chosen lies envy, an insatiable hunger that can never be satisfied no matter how much it devours. The tormentors saw something in the chosen that they could never replicate, never control, a light so pure and a power so profound that it both captivated and infuriated them. It wasn't merely the chosen's achievements or strength that ignited their jealousy. It was something far deeper, the very essence of who they were. The chosen carried a divine spark, a purpose that transcended the tormentor's understanding, and this unseen power left them seething with resentment. Unlike ambition or admiration, envy doesn't inspire growth or self-improvement. It's not a question of, how can I achieve the same? Or, what can I learn from them? Instead, envy is destructive at its core. It doesn't seek to elevate, it seeks to tear down. The tormentors didn't want to emulate the chosen or rise to their level. They wanted to annihilate what made them different, what made them special. That divine spark within the chosen shone too brightly, exposing the tormentor's own insecurities, failures, and inadequacies. Have you ever noticed how those who envy often try to destroy what they cannot have, rather than seeking to improve themselves? This irrational and consuming emotion blinded the tormentors to the truth. Envy, by its nature, is a self-destructive force. It is a fire that doesn't just burn its target, it consumes the one who stokes it. Proverbs 14:30 warns, "A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones." The tormentors, in their attempts to extinguish the chosen's light, became trapped in a cycle of destruction. The more they tried to harm the chosen, the more their own lives unraveled. Envy is never satisfied by eliminating what it covets, because it feeds on a void that cannot be filled. Their hatred for the chosen wasn't about what the chosen possessed. It was about what their existence represented. The chosen's very presence became a mirror reflecting everything the tormentors lacked, and rather than confronting their own deficiencies, they sought to obliterate the source of their discomfort. But how can one destroy a divine purpose? The tormentors' efforts were destined to fail, for the chosen's light wasn't something they could extinguish. It came from a higher source, one beyond human reach. As Romans 8:31 reminds us, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" In their quest to destroy the chosen, the tormentors destroyed themselves. Envy is a fire that promises power, but delivers emptiness. The more they fed their desire to tear down what they couldn't possess, the more they lost themselves in the process. The tormentors became consumed by the very void their envy created. Their attempts to diminish the chosen only amplified the light they sought to snuff out. Each attack revealed more clearly the resilience and divine favor the chosen carried, leaving the tormentors with nothing but ashes. Meanwhile, the chosen stood untouched, their light undimmed, their purpose unshaken. The tormentors' efforts only served to refine the chosen further, proving that no amount of darkness can overcome a light ordained by God. As John 1:5 declares, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." While the tormentors vanished into the abyss of their own making, the chosen emerged as living testaments to the unbreakable power of divine purpose. Envy is a lesson for all to heed. It may begin as a flicker of longing, but left unchecked, it grows into an all-consuming fire. Those who give into it not only fail to destroy what they covet, they destroy themselves. And in the end, the chosen remain standing, their light shining even brighter, while their tormentors are left to grapple with the consequences of their own emptiness. Number 10. The divine reversal. Roles will change. Time, though silent and unyielding, is a master at flipping the script. What seems permanent today becomes temporary tomorrow, as the oppressed, the ones who endured cruelty and suffering, rise to the heights they were destined for. Meanwhile, those who wielded power with arrogance and malice find themselves tumbling into oblivion. The tormentors, so certain of their control, fail to understand that the very fire they ignited to consume the chosen becomes the force that lifts the chosen higher. The same flames they used for destruction reduce them to ashes. This divine reversal is not a coincidence. It's a principle woven into the fabric of existence. As Psalm 75:7 declares, "It is God who judges. He brings one down. He exalts another." When those chosen for a higher purpose are pushed to their limits, a transformation takes place. The forces of oppression and hatred may seem to dominate for a time, but their victory is fleeting. What they intended as destruction becomes the chosen's refinement. Through suffering, the chosen are forged into something stronger, something unshakable, perfectly aligned with their divine destiny. The tormentors in their arrogance are blind to their own undoing. Each attempt to crush the chosen tightens the noose of their own schemes. They don't realize they are feeding a fire that will ultimately consume them. Have you ever seen someone so consumed by their need to harm another that they unravel their own lives in the process? As Proverbs 26:27 warns, "Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them." The tormentor's obsession becomes their downfall, while the chosen don't just survive, they ascend. This reversal isn't just poetic, it's inevitable. What the tormentors saw as their moment of dominance was only a prelude to their decline. The power they believed was theirs to wield was never theirs to keep. They'll discover too late that all authority and judgment belong to God, and He will always restore balance in His time. The chosen, who were once overlooked, ridiculed, and oppressed, rise to positions of leadership, influence, and light. As Isaiah 61:7 proclaims, "Instead of your shame, you will receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace, you will rejoice in your inheritance." Their ascent isn't just survival, it's restoration, a doubling of all they lost. For the tormentors, the story ends differently. What began as a campaign to diminish the chosen ends with their own diminishment. The more they sought to extinguish the chosen's light, the more their own influence crumbled. Their arrogance and pride, which once seemed unshakable, are reduced to dust, leaving them as distant memories of a failed attempt to play a role they were never meant to have. And then there is the chosen, the ones who rise like kings and queens from the ashes. Their scars become crowns, their trials turn into testimonies, and their endurance shines as a beacon for others. The roles have reversed. Those who sought to oppress them are now powerless, and the chosen step into their rightful place, walking fully in the purpose ordained for them. Time, in its wisdom, ensures that the balance is always restored. This divine reversal isn't just a hope, it's a promise. It reminds us all that no amount of darkness can suppress a light destined to shine, and no oppressor can escape the justice that comes from a higher authority. The chosen rise, stronger and brighter than ever, while those who sought to destroy them are left to confront the emptiness of their own downfall. Number 11. God's patience isn't weakness, it's strategy. When divine justice appears delayed, the tormentors misinterpret this as weakness or indifference, assuming that God is unwilling or unable to act. But such assumptions couldn't be further from the truth. God's patience is not passivity, it is precision. His timing is never rushed, for divine justice is not about mere reaction, it's about deliberate, calculated strategy. The apparent delay is not hesitation, it's the preparation for an undeniable reckoning. God allows the tormentors to continue their schemes, giving them enough time to fully reveal their true nature. Every cruel act, every decision to harm, and every abuse of power becomes part of the evidence being recorded in the cosmic courtroom. Proverbs 16:4 reminds us, "The Lord works out everything to its proper end, even the wicked for a day of disaster." By the time divine justice arrives, it is both inevitable and irrefutable. The tormentors are left with no excuses, no defenses, and no way to justify their actions. Their downfall is not seen as mere vengeance, but as the natural, unavoidable consequence of their own choices. This process of delay serves a higher purpose. It's not just about punishing the wicked, it's about teaching everyone who witnesses their fall. The tormentors' actions, unchecked and exposed, become a warning to the world. Every injustice they commit magnifies the lesson. Cruelty and pride are paths to self-destruction. Have you ever noticed how those who persist in their wrongdoings often set the stage for their own undoing? This isn't chance, it's divine strategy at work. By allowing the tormentors to fully expose their darkness, God ensures that their fall resonates beyond themselves. It becomes a lesson etched into the fabric of history, a warning for generations to come. Their destruction is not just about accountability, it's about transformation. It's a reminder that no one escapes the consequences of their actions, no matter how powerful they believe themselves to be. As Ecclesiastes 8:11 warns, when the sentence for a crime is not quickly carried out, people's hearts are filled with schemes to do wrong. God delays not to condone, but to ensure that when justice comes, it leaves no room for doubt. The chosen ones, who endure under the weight of oppression, often struggle with the silence of heaven during this time. The weight feels agonizing, testing their faith and patience to the limit. Yet this delay is not without purpose. It is in the waiting that the chosen are strengthened and refined, while the tormentors grow increasingly entangled in their own schemes. Romans 12:19 offers comfort, saying, "Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath, for it is written, 'It is mine to avenge, I will repay,' says the Lord." The patience of God is not a denial of justice, it is the foundation of a perfect plan. When justice finally arrives, it speaks louder than any punishment alone ever could. The tormentor's fall becomes a proclamation, a declaration of divine order and balance. Their pride, which once seemed so unshakable, is reduced to rubble, serving as a cautionary tale to all who witness it. The chosen, once downtrodden, are vindicated, and their endurance becomes a testimony of faith rewarded. God's patience, far from being a weakness, is wisdom in action. It's a masterful strategy that ensures every act of injustice is accounted for, every wrong is made right, and every observer learns the true nature of divine justice. In the end, the tormentor's downfall is not just a punishment, it is a message. It is a clear, undeniable reminder that no darkness can escape the light of truth, and no one who sows harm will evade the harvest of their own actions. Number 12, the indestructible purpose of the chosen. The chosen are not unbreakable because they are shielded from suffering. They are unbreakable because their purpose runs so deep and so unshakable that no amount of pain or betrayal can uproot it. Their resilience is not born from immunity to hardship, but from the transcendent nature of their mission. It is a purpose that surpasses the boundaries of fear, pain, and despair, anchoring them to a divine calling that no force on earth can sever. Every act of cruelty, every moment of torture becomes a testament to their strength and the profound depth of their purpose. It is within these trials that the true essence of the chosen is revealed. Their core is not fragile or fleeting. It is unyielding, unstoppable, and ordained by a power far greater than any force that seeks to tear them down. The chosen carry within them a divine flame, a fire placed there by God Himself. This is not a flame of their own making, but one imbued with holy purpose. As Jeremiah 29 declares, "But His word was in my heart like a burning fire, shut up in my bones. I was weary of holding it back, and I could not." This fire cannot be extinguished by external forces. On the contrary, the more it is attacked, the brighter and more intense it becomes. The tormentors, in their ignorance, believe their cruelty can smother this divine fire. They hurl betrayal, pain, and injustice at the chosen, thinking it will extinguish their light. But every strike only serves to fuel the flame. Have you ever seen how adversity reveals a person's true strength? The chosen embody this truth. Their fire doesn't waver in the face of obstacles. It grows stronger, illuminating their path forward and guiding them through the darkest of times. What the tormentors fail to understand is that their actions do not derail the chosen's mission. They accelerate it. Every betrayal becomes a lesson in resilience. every wound a mark of strength, and every injustice a stepping stone toward the fulfillment of their purpose. This is the paradox of the chosen. The very efforts meant to destroy them only fortify them. Romans 8:28 reminds us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." Even the tormentor's malice becomes a tool in the hands of divine providence. The chosen endure not because they are untouched by pain, but because their fire burns brighter than any darkness they face. Their purpose is unshakable, a testament to the divine authority that has called them. As they walk through trials, they do so not as victims, but as vessels of a higher mission. Every act of cruelty becomes a catalyst for their growth, every moment of suffering a step closer to their destiny. In the end, the tormentor's actions serve only to highlight the chosen's resilience and divine purpose. The very forces meant to destroy them become instruments of their elevation. This is the unshakable truth of the chosen. No betrayal, no obstacle, no pain can extinguish a flame that God himself has lit. Their journey is a living testament to the power of purpose, the strength of faith, and the unbreakable bond between the chosen and their Creator. The chosen are not defined by the pain they endure, but by the divine plan that drives them. Their identity and strength are not rooted in the circumstances of this world, but in something eternal, unchangeable, and ordained by God. No matter how powerful the forces that rise against them, their purpose remains intact and unshaken. What God has established cannot be undone by any earthly power. As Isaiah 14:27 reminds us, "For the Lord Almighty has purposed, and who can thwart him? His hand is stretched out, and who can turn it back?" The tormentors may believe they hold the power to redefine the chosen, but it is the chosen who redefine the very nature of strength and resilience. The chosen ones are unbreakable, not because they are exempt from suffering, but because their purpose is indestructible. Their trials, though immense, are not the final word. Instead, they are stepping stones on a path forged by divine will. The tormentors, in their arrogance, see the chosen's suffering as weakness, as proof that they can be destroyed. What they fail to comprehend is that suffering does not shape the chosen. It reveals them. It brings to light the unshakable mission they carry within, a mission placed by God and sustained by his power. This divine purpose acts as a fire that refuses to be extinguished. Every act of cruelty, every attempt to tear them down, only fuels that fire, making it burn brighter. The tormentors, blind to the divine hand at work, believe they can destroy what they don't understand. But their strikes do not extinguish the chosen's light, they temper it. Have you ever seen how fire strengthens steel? That's what happens to the chosen. The flames meant to consume them instead forge them into something stronger, purer, and more unstoppable than ever before. What the tormentors fail to realize is that their cruelty serves a higher purpose. Every strike against the chosen becomes a tool in their refinement, aligning them more closely with their mission. As Romans 8:31 declares, "If God is for us, who can be against us?" The chosen one's path is not determined by the torment they face, but by the divine purpose they carry. The fire that was meant to destroy them becomes the catalyst for their rise, transforming their trials into triumphs. In the end, the tormentors do not succeed in shaping the chosen. Instead, the chosen redefine the very nature of strength and endurance. Their resilience is not born from immunity to pain, but from a purpose that transcends it. The suffering they endure becomes a testimony to their divine calling, proving that no force, no matter how fierce, can destroy what God has ordained. Their journey is not about surviving the flames. It's about emerging from them refined, unshaken, and unstoppable. This truth is a testament to the power of faith and purpose. The chosen ones are not bound by the limits of human circumstances. They rise above, fueled by a fire that grows brighter with every challenge. What the tormentors lit to burn them has instead forged them into vessels of divine strength, ensuring their legacy of resilience and purpose will outlast any pain they endure. Divine justice, though patient, is never absent. Its timing is not dictated by human impatience, but by divine wisdom, waiting for the perfect moment to act. The tormentors, in their arrogance, misinterpret this delay as indifference, unaware that it is an opportunity for them to expose their corruption fully. Each act of malice they commit is added to a cosmic ledger, ensuring that when justice arrives, it is undeniable, irrefutable, and final. As Ecclesiastes 3:17 reminds us, God will bring into judgment both the righteous and the wicked, for there will be a time for every activity, a time to judge every deed. The ripple effects of the tormentors' actions extend far beyond what they can see or comprehend. Their cruelty disturbs not just the physical world, but the cosmic balance, triggering consequences that transcend their grasp. They believe their actions are confined to the here and now, but every act of destruction they attempt invites a chain reaction that ultimately becomes their own undoing. What they intended to use for harm becomes the very instrument of their downfall. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them. Proverbs 26:27. Meanwhile, time in its wisdom reveals the truth. The chosen, those who were oppressed and broken, begin to rise. They are not lifted by vengeance, but by the divine purpose that has always been theirs. The tormentors, who sought to destroy, will inevitably fall, victims of their own schemes and the cosmic justice they unknowingly set in motion. This reversal is not coincidental. It is God's strategy, His deliberate plan to ensure that the downfall of the wicked becomes a lesson for all who witness it. God's delay is not weakness, but strategy, allowing the tormentors to reveal the depths of their corruption. This ensures their judgment is not only deserved, but also unmistakable to the world. The chosen one's purpose, rooted in divine will, cannot be thwarted. It is indestructible, transcending all suffering, betrayal, and attempts to break them. Like a fire placed by God, their mission burns with a heat that cannot be quenched, a light that cannot be dimmed, and a force that cannot be stopped. For the gifts and the calling of God are irrevocable. Romans 11:29. In the end, the chosen are far more than survivors. They are living proof of divine power. Their journey, though marked by pain and trials, becomes the catalyst for something far greater. Their resilience and faith ignite a flame of truth, justice, and purpose that sets the world ablaze. What was meant to break them only strengthens them, and their rise becomes a testimony to the invincibility of God's plan. No force, no matter how overwhelming, can defeat what is divinely ordained. The chosen carry a mission that will always find its way to fulfillment, no matter how fierce the opposition. Their lives are a testament to the truth that God's justice, though patient, is inevitable. When it arrives, it not only restores balance but transforms pain into power, suffering into purpose, and oppression into triumph. The chosen are not merely victors. They are the proof that divine purpose will always prevail. In the grand tapestry of life, every trial serves a purpose, and God's justice never fails. Though they tried to break your spirit, what they didn't realize is that you are divinely protected. Their actions against you have lit a fire they can no longer control, a fire that will refine you but consume them. The pain you've endured has not gone unnoticed by the Almighty. God has seen every tear, every sleepless night, and every moment you stood firm in faith. Rest assured, His hand is at work, and He will turn every trial into triumph, every sorrow into joy, and every loss into unimaginable blessings. Remember the words of Romans 12:19, where it is written, "Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath, for it is written, 'It is mine to avenge, I will repay,' says the Lord." Their actions have angered God, and He will ensure that justice is served. All you need to do is continue to walk in His light and trust in His divine plan. Your story is not over. It is just beginning, and the next chapter will be filled with God's abundant grace and favor. If this message has encouraged or inspired you today, we humbly ask you to consider supporting our channel through Super Thanks. Your contributions help us continue to spread messages of faith, hope, and encouragement to those who need it most. Even if you choose not to donate, we want you to know that your presence here is already a blessing. Thank you for being part of this community and for standing with us as we share God's Word. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with someone who may need it. Leave a comment below to let us know how God's Word is moving in your life. We would love to hear your story. Every like, share, and comment helps us reach more souls with the truth of God's love. As you go about your day, may God's peace, protection, and favor surround you. Remember, you are not alone. God is with you, fighting battles you cannot see and preparing blessings you cannot yet imagine. May His light guide you, His strength uphold you, and His love fill your heart. Until we meet again, stay strong in faith and trust that God has great things in store for you. God bless you abundantly.